Welcome back to the Wellness Podcast. How you guys doing, ladies and gentlemen? Well, it's good to be back. I'm going to try a few new things. Um, Try to go on a couple of times a day. Had to just address some things. Position myself to get some things right, and understand how to. Sometimes you just got to study to do a better show, do a better, and give a better give a better presentation. The That's the thing when you try to be a content creator and you want to do a good job and you want to give a good message to the people. You want to share your experiences. You want to share your thoughts, your perspectives, your ideologies, and you also want to make sure you give it to you guys authentically as possible. Definitely want to do that. So, without further ado, today's show: hidden history, identity, and the search for America's earliest people. Well, I got three strong references for you today. I can't have them all, but I got three real strong, maybe four strong, very strong references today that we're going to cover. Not too long. We're going to cover quite a few little tidbits, but I just need y'all to understand a few things. When you're thinking about books, they can make you change your perspective, change your ideology, change your mindset, open your brain. You will think differently. You will see things differently, but you have to subject yourself to the right information or more information. And you would also like to make sure you can make sure you have references for the information that you do share. This is important because I think a lot of people are extremely confused about the world. It's like when you ran on when the world has been running on a propaganda campaign so long, there is some distinct things that people hold on to because it makes them feel confident. It makes them feel aware. It makes them feel like they understand or have a better perspective of understanding, or maybe it just makes them feel good. So I think a lot of people accept feel good stories about their cultures, their narratives, the creation stories, and all of the different aspects of how we're built to cope or have these a sense of pride and where you come from, a sense of belonging. Well, the thing is, everybody can have that. You just have to be a truth about the bad shit too. Everything ain't good. Everything that happened in the past wasn't a goddamn um, a walk in the park. It wasn't a stroll. It was shit a lot like what's going on now. Turmoil, chaos, um, bad leadership, uh, destructive ideologies and methodologies, uh, trying to bend the universe or bend the world to your will or your way. And a lot of those things, uh, a lot of practices that were done eliminated a lot of people in power. A lot of the fault that did happen to melanated people globally, where you had moral and immoral. Shit. I don't know why people think it's so um, difficult to understand that the reason why it's not the greatest thing in the world to celebrate all of history is you just have to know it. Because when you know the real part about history, or when you understand history for real, you'll start understanding that history is pretty much a damn horror story. That's why they like to uh, lighten it up so much, because it's a horror story. Nothing about it is good, but the good thing about history is that, or mystery, or mastery, or learning about the past, antiquity, is that the truth is there. The beautiful part about it is you can uncover it. And the best part about it is you get to discover, learn, um, you get to see things from a very real perspective that's not distorted or turned. It's great to open up your mind to, other philosophical outcomes, archeological outcomes, geographical outcomes, geological outcomes. These things here they're proven. So when you have logic and when you can prove things and when you can actually show, what what you got, it makes the task easier. It makes your task easier. It makes sure it feels like you accomplished something when this happens. So the first book we're going to share is this one right here. See this? Black Indians. As I told you, a lot of people don't know that you wouldn't know this book existed, but it's a very real situation. We are very real people. We're not fabrications. See, the fabrication came when the U.S. government reclassified, renamed, and shuffled people around and gave people new titles, new ideologies, and pushed people into a structural survival perspective that was created. So this is one book to have because this is it's here we go. We're gonna start off Estevanico. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed. He always talks about Estevanico. A few other scholars that talk a lot about Estevanico, and it's cool because it's just the truth. You know, it's you got to tell the true story. So here it is. I'm going to read you a passage out of here. It's the irony that the first explorers of the old world to enter Arizona and New Mexico free, vast expansion was himself a slave. But Estevanico was a highly unusual individual who left a confused legacy. Even his name poses a question. Since he was called Estevanico, a little Stephen, he was a tall, even gigantic little Stephen, or usually small little Stephen. Not much is known of his early life. Born in Azamor, Morocco, around 1500, he was probably made captive as a teenager when Portugal's king Manuel seized the city in 1513. His record is as blank until June 17th, 1527. We're talking 1527. All right. Then he encouraged the bearded young man, the slave of a Spaniard, Andreas Durati, no, Durantes, as the two boarded the ship, the San Lucar, the Baramida, Spain, for the New World. The Spaniard and the Moroccan had hardly landed in the exotic Hispaniola when they joined the expedition to explore Florida. In 1528, King Ferdinand ordered the explorers and his newly appointed governor of Florida, Panfilino de Narvaez, personally led it. Some 500 Spaniards and their African slaves set out on an adventure none would ever forget. From the moment of their first landing in Sarasota Beach, the effort skinned towards catastrophe. They quickly ran out of food and then out of patience. Spaniards used to be pleasantly warm climate had to contend with the tropical rainforest and wild animals, jungles, and quicksand. Starvation drove desperate men towards madness. Some ran off seeking salvation in the treacherous countryside. Others prayed in vain, and many died in hunger and lost. Now, this is the first arrivals of the Spaniards. By the time the explorers reached Native American villages, American Indian villages, they counted only 80 survivors. But calamities just then begun. While the exhausted men rested, disease struck, leaves only 15 survivors. Barres and his men named the place Misfortune Island and pushed on. Bad luck continued to stalk the foreigners. Death carried off the Barres, and one by one, most of the others. Soon the other 500 adventurers, only Andreas Durantes, Estevanico, Cabiza, De Vaca, and one other Spaniard remained alive, alone in a terrifying land that barely understood, and the four shared hardships and want. At one point, they were made slaves of separate Indian nations, but during the meeting of their masters, they made good and escaped. They would spend 8 years wandering. A diary of the sojourn was kept by the later Cabiza, de Vaca, and told Estevanico crucial role where the Indians appeared. He posed as a medical man, a medicine man, and a magical healer, and the others three followed his lead. Estevanico found success reciting improvised prayers and making signs over ill dying Indians. For the service of four were rewarded with food, water, and direction. As it was most skilled magic healer, Estevanico was able to gain valuable information necessity from grateful Native Americans. Further, they were made their way from one small village to another. The African picked up languages from the instilled confidence in those he met. The Vaca accounts records that it was Evanico who was our go-between to inform himself about the ways we wish to take, what towns there were, and the matters we desired to know. By now, Estevanico began to hear, along with others' information, wild tales about rich Cibola and the seven cities of gold. The Spaniards shared the excitement, where Indians insisted that somewhere north of Mexico lay a city made of gold and silver. This was glittering. This was the glittering wealth Spain had hoped to find in the New World. And in 1538, the four shabby survivors staggered in the Spanish headquarters in Mexico. They brought with them the first great myth of the Americas and the tale of Cibola. After the three Spaniards recovered from their ordeal, they regained some weight. Death for Spain, not even the lure of gold and silver could hold them. They was getting the hell up out of here. Estevanico did not have no choice, and he was sold to the viceroy of Hispaniola, Antonio de Mendoza. The government kept his slaves, guests talking about Cibola's riches, and Estevanico produced some bright metals objects natives had given him to claim that smelting was an art practiced in Cibola. In 1538, Governor Mendoza organized an expedition to discoveries of the land and the great wealth and picked Father Marcos de Ninza, Franciscan friar, to lead it. Estevanico was his advanced scout and advisor. The African was sent ahead with a few Indians to help greyhounds and was directed to send back accounts of the progress toward Cibola. So there you go. An African, a Spaniard, and Indians. This is in this book. This is in the 1500s. So they knew the difference between an African and an American Indian. That's one. So let's I don't want to hold you too long, but I had to give you some good references to let you know these people knew the differences between peoples. They damn sure knew. So also in the early history of search for America's earliest people, why do people have such different understandings of who's the first people of the Americas, where and why do the different historians react differently to conclusions? It's simple. It's simple. It's propaganda. And then you have to understand the black man is first everywhere, and everybody's supposed to pretend that he was not the first everywhere. But that's an agreed upon lie that the world was willing to tell, including Africans. History is constantly being revised as new archaeologist discoveries, documents, and technology emerges. Because when technology emerges, you can figure better things out and find out more information. And you can actually dig a little deeper. And the deeper you dig, the darker it's going to get for you. So, national identity, race, and political power have other influences over how history has been written as well. That's why you got people running around here talking about immigrants built America. Use a goddamn lie. Or they say whites built America. That's another goddamn lie. See, the problem is the association with the country. Everybody wants the association, but nobody wants the actual or has the backstory. And when you have no backstory, and when you talk about things like, oh, I spoke this language, and I came from here, and I came, but evidence shows different. This is just not. These things are just not true. So when they tell these falsehoods, false stories, false names, false identities, and label them with false, false historical documents like that's what they did in Hollywood. John Wayne. John Wayne is Bass Reeves. Fuck out of here. There's no such thing as a John Wayne. John Wayne wasn't. That's a character that they stole and put a white face on. Seriously, that's Bass Reeves, literally. But let's keep going. Let's talk about how you have to know. You know the first thing a lot of non-melanated people, or even melanated people, we'll even say some melanated people, because you know everybody has melanin, but just their tones, their tones are changing in melanin. Some people have more melanin than others. That's why I don't like to make it. I get called a racist a lot, and I think that's horrible for people to not understand where I'm coming from. I get accused of talking down on whites. I don't talk down on nobody. I'm giving facts. I'm giving you I give you factual accounts, and even if I give you my opinion is based on a fact, it's not for me. It's not for me to totally shit on anybody. I think that's horrible. I don't think you can get anywhere from that. And I think, and I'm actually, and if you know and watch the Wilderness podcast, you'll see I show respect, give respect, and I even, I got respect for some white folks or Europeans. They'll tell the truth. Asians as well. I don't have a problem with nobody. Africans, I have a problem with nobody. But I do have a problem with people that like to lie. That I have a problem with, and the evasive ignorance of people to think just because you haven't heard something, who the hell told you was right, and you don't know shit. You won't even pick up a book, read, or share anything, but you want it done for you. You're a lazy bastard. And if this is not your interest, you should shut the hell up. Take note, take a lesson, learn, and do some more research for yourself. Because you can't sit up here and call me a liar when everything I show you is truthful. It's as simple. That's as simple as that. So we're going to talk about a few things. Gloria Farley, in plain sight, old world records in ancient America. See, what Gloria Farley, what she does argue is that certain rock inscriptions and artifacts suggesting that possible contact between America and peoples of the old world before Columbus. We're going to show you these things. She also encouraged closer examination of archaeological sites that she believed had been overlooked or just ignored, because a lot of times people don't overlook things. They just act like that shit don't exist. You know what I'm saying? So many mainstream archaeologists dispute interpretations and argue that the evidence is not conclusive. Well, neither is yours. None of the shit you got is inclusive, especially when you take shit from one landmass on the other side of the world, make it seem like it comes from this other place over here. And that's not a lie. See, it's only a lie when somebody else goes against your bullshit that you say, or the bullshit that you already put out. Just because you was first doesn't mean it's accurate. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's the biggest mentality, even that came into the 19th to 20th century, trying to be first, like it's a goddamn race. And apparently in their mind, it is a race, just a race, just like the interpretation of race that we think, and the powerful elites, they're racing to get to the top and racing to be number one. We're racing to not run out of time for living. So it brings up, the reason why I bring this up, because it opens up a broader conversation. And the reason why it opens up a broader conversation is because of what the evidence that you have and what was found here in the Americas, first and foremost. We're going to talk about Ampu, the dog that's indigenous to the Americas. What is all of the Zincs, the Zolings, I can't pronounce his name, but you see this clearly right here. Found in the Americas. Hold on. Move my mic. Look at this. Now, this is only supposed to be associated with ancient Egypt or the East or, Western Africa, when in all actuality, what if it wasn't, as you can see now, it's older here in the West, as I said before. I just got to show you some things. Anubis, the tombs. You see what I'm saying? A lot of these things, and let me read it for you here. So one of the main reasons for going to Egypt in February 1980 with members of the Epigraphic Society was to actually see if the photography, such as images of Anubis, knowing how important it is to me, Dr. Norman Totten, a tour leader, obtaining special permissions of a few of us to visit the tomb of Sendingen in the Valley of the Nobles. My tour descended narrow stairs into the tomb, which was shaped like your grandmother's trunk, rectangular with the arched ceiling. Inside the black night, except for the lantern and the native gods, the mummies have been removed. Wow. God damn. Okay. So you can check this right here. I'm trying to get the dates of these things. And this is the papyri, and this is Ani, the Book of the Dead, it's showing the tombs of Egypt and Luxor, Egypt. But then, because I believe this is in Ohio, I gotta find it. I'm trying to find the right place to read for you guys so you can understand my point. The opening roads of the north. Okay, D. Since the Celtics traveled past Rome. They talk about it. And they talk about. See, they have to go all the way around. Oh, okay. This is a site found in California. Where's my page at? I don't like bending my pages, but I have to sometimes. Okay. All right. See this page. Apparently, the grain. Old world discussed the length of Fraser. Here we are. This says it in this book right here. Okay. All right. Apparently, the grain cane relationship was widespread in the old world, as discussed at length by Fraser. In the discussion, Fraser used the word corn is as genetic term for all grain and not as specific references to the American crop of the same name. The term grain will be used as a discussion to avoid confusion. In East Persia, a wolf running through the field was watched to see if he had held a tail or a high dragon or high dragged it. He held high the curse of the wolf and tried to kill him. He was considered the grain spirit, whose fertilization power was in his tail. The harvest custom northeastern France during the last century, the person who cut the last handful of hay or wheat is said to kill the dog. In Lorraine, the man who cut the last stalk is said to kill the dog of the harvest. Gillespie reported that when he was in Yunnan, China, and at the end of the rice harvest, the farmer not only killed the dog, but ate it. These actions are apparently caused by the belief of the grain spirit lives in the fields, and at the time of the harvest must travel from plant to plant as it cuts until the spirit inhabits the last standing plant. As the harvest and the spirit escape into the nearest animal or even a passing stranger. A sacrifice must then be made to ensure the fertility of the next crop. So, doesn't that sound like a solstice to you? Like the winter solstice, it's a spiritual practice. Is basically what it is. And the Yukis in the Americas, southeast. So, basically, what they're saying, Keeler had added the subject to the dog attack in the placenta. From the rich knowledge of ancient Egyptian mythology and parallels from China, hold on. Knowledge of Egyptian mythology and parallels to it from Kunan Indians, Panama, he points out that the guardians of the dog of the embryo standing Sumerian Narma, Sin, and Blunt Nose. The Kunan guardian dog with attached umbilical cords and felt membranes in the spirit of the placenta. The Gwambi burnt up the child placenta to kill the dog guardian, thus releasing the guardian spirit. The Kunan seem to do the same thing. So these are global practices by indigenous people that were shared all over the world. Check that out. So, more evidence in an article in the Smithsonian magazine inspired features in the state that the clay tablet was found in a personal effects of Chief Joseph in the Nez Perce Indian in Montana in 1878. Now, that was a tablet found in 1878. He was the last leader of his tribe to surrender during the attempts to flee Idaho's reservation and hopes to reach Canada. The U.S. Army took the tablet, which ended up in the museum, U.S. Military Academy at West Point, New York. Another displacement, right? From Montana to New York. So, military academic West Point. This is a photograph of the tablet here, found right here in 1868 in Montana. Here you go. You can see it yourself. That's the tablet. Okay, we're changing. We're gonna change again. We're gonna change shifts. We're gonna go back to my favorite subject, the mound builders. Here we go. All right. Let's. So we talked about Cushman in here. Oh, we talked about Cushman. We had to talk about Cushman. H.B. Cushman. His shirt, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Natchez Indian. I'm gonna go here first, which is which has it's an easy pivot to mound builders. But when you get to but what he documented the trails, customs, histories of the Choctaw, Chickasaw, Natchez people. His writings in complex governments, diplomacy, agriculture, societal organization. The book illustrates Southwest indigenous nations had sophisticated societies long before European settlements. Like many historians' works from the early 1900s, remember, it should be read alongside modern scholarship and tribal perspectives. See, American Indians, with physical appearance, it tells you Europeans depiction, and the reason why I say people say Europeans because they know the Europeans that explored the Americas, they are still the same Europeans, the same immigrants, the same people that came to the Americas. These are their children. So the thing is, historical depictions by European explorers often refer to native peoples using terms describing a wide range of skin tones, like swarthy. Indigenous people of the Americas has also deployed significant diversity in complexes and physical appearances, meaning every color of copper, dark ranging from dark to lighter complexions. And if you want to see that, you can the Natchez, Louisiana, go to New Orleans, go to Lafayette, go to Baton Rouge, go to Louisiana, all over Louisiana, you're gonna find Natchez and black or light skin or lighter skin black people, American Indians, but they consider themselves the same thing that a dark skinned person like myself a dark skinned American would consider myself as a black American Indian. Even though because in our family members we're not disassociated. We look this shit. They in the same family, same people, same structure, same background, same ancestors, everything. You can't really separate them two. Modern tribal nations, including members with a wide variety of ancestral appearances, skin tones alone does not determine tribal identity. Ancestry and citizenship does. So the thing is, identity and classification. When they started changing and shifting and positioning the darker skinned freedmen, the darker skinned American Indians out of the communal economics and aspirational living aspects of America at the time, you were just a worker. You were in the fields, or you were in the Great Dismal Swamps. But either way, on paper or visibly, sometimes people you may think someone lived better than you, but they really did. These are free ass people, and a lot of these people were not enslaved. They just knew how to survive. And when you're in survival mode, it's going to take you away from any aspirations of trying to do something that you can't do with the dominant society. And your whole history is consisting of dodging, staying alive, and not being unalived. That's basically it. So laws define race and identity. That's what made things change. Communities have experienced reclassifications under different legal and political systems. Genealogy, oral traditions, historical records, and tribal citizenship can all contribute to understanding family history. So the thing is, the one thing I question, this question for the audience, especially people from other places, I bet you got some of the same problems in your family, your home. That's why you wanted to go somewhere else. Some of you can't go home. Some of us have to endure and deal with just being home and how we have to deal with our situations as people, as beings, as a culture, as a collective. So, boy, it's a lot. It's a lot to understand. I know you guys don't understand a lot about these things, but I'm trying to help you. So let's get to the last section. We're going to get to Stephen D. Peake, who built thousands of mounds across North America, and why have they fashioned historians for generations? The scale of mound builders across the eastern United States and thousands of earthen mounds and earthworks. They vary in sizes, shapes, and purposes, and they demonstrate sophisticated planning and engineering and organized labor, meaning people that are able to work together and pull off such fascinating works. That took a system, that took intelligence, and that took a hell of a lot of know-how and wherewithal. So you could check out, man. You really need to check this book out by Stephen D. Peake. The words are kind of small in it, but I'm going to get to where I need to go. The distribution of mounds. The mound builders in their works, the mound builders in their Mastodon, the mound builders in the Indians. Go to 49. Village enclosure on the Seattle. Here we go. Indian encampments at Detroit. So you see how we was all over the Americas. This is in Detroit. And so the mound builders and the Indians. We now come to the question that the relation of the mound builders and the modern Indians. There has been a great difference of opinion on the subject, but it would seem that the archaeologists were coming near to one another and agreeing that the Indians there was a difference between the two classes. The appearance of the buffalo within the bounds of the mound builders' territory is the first point at which we are considered. The buffalo seems to have extended in range beyond the Mississippi River. The nomadic savages had a habit. Look at how they say this shit. The nomadic savages. Let's still write that awful shit in this great book. Had a habit of forest bringing open prairies into the midst of the mound builders' works and reaching almost to the Ohio and the Allegheny River. The hunters followed the buffalo to the eastern range. This will account to the disappearance of the mound builders. Still, we are to bear the mid. Hold on. These words are small. Still, we ought to bear in mind that the earlier mound builders who were dwelt in the fortified villages and who were the sun worshippers were not acquainted within the buffalo. At least they had no buffalo pipes. There was, however, a race of mound building Indians subsequent to them whose were hunters, effigy builders, and were acquainted with the buffalo. Our proof is that the follows. The effigies of the buffalo were found in Wisconsin. This will be seen from reference to the cut. Yeah, in Figures 1, the effigy on the buffalo has always seen many places. Belmont, Madison, and Green Lake. Inscriptions in the buffalo found in the pictures. Caves in West Selman. Okay. So check this out. Here we go. In the same mound were several skeletons covered up with the large quantity of copper and adorned with the most intricate and beautiful designs. These were classified into anklets, bracelets, and whistles, ornaments, various parts of the body. The bracelets were solid throughout, formed by bending and tapering bar of copper into the circle. There were 4 circular discs joined in pairs by a thick steam of copper, and 4 other discs joined by pivots and richly ornaments with repurposed work. These were plates, cuts in the form of fishes, others into diamond forms, with geometrical figures inside the rings. Most curious, the whole collection of 2 pieces of copper represented the Sasuka. The Su no, I'm sorry. The swastika, representing the swastika, the only one that has been found in North America on Ohio River. Besides these was a flat piece of copper that had thin pieces of cane inside, evidently intended to be worn on the wrist or as a protection from a bow. Many of these pieces had attached to them a curious texture resembling matted made out of wood fiber, while several were plated with silver, gold, and meteoric iron. One piece is evidently a cap for a crown of a head, and the other an aperture through which the scalp locked could protrude, or in which the feathers would be attached. There were also with them pieces representing birds, animals, and other curiosity um, pronged. So as you can see, the mound builders were a very sophisticated Indian, just like the Choctaw Chickasaw Natchez, the Powhatan, the Pamunkey, the Cherokee Nation, the Iroquois, the Algonquins. Those are the ones I'm familiar with because of my relationship to them. Um, I do study other things as well, but I have to. But it's great to study where I'm from. I'm from the Southeast. I'm from Pensacola, Florida. My people are from Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Ohio, shit, New York, Delaware, um, North Carolina. I know I have relatives in South Carolina, but I don't. I don't have a. I got very few. Uh, Very few like significant relatives came out of South Carolina. Very significant few. I'm sure it was. I'm pretty sure there's some relations there because being from the Southeast, shit, man, you got to be careful because you damn sure don't want to deal with nobody that you're related to, not physically, sexually, anything like that. It's disgusting. So anyway, so I've shared with you Black Indians, mound builders, in plain sight. I got more to share with you, but I just wanted to give you a good show. Just connect back with you, let you know what I'm on, let you know what I've been studying, what I've been looking at, and also to inform you. Maybe some stuff you haven't seen. We're gonna really go over uh, the Dawes Commission. We're gonna go over this book one day because it says a lot. The Five Civilized Tribes. This is the Dawes Commission of the Southeast and why how they lied about everything. Also, a lot of y'all may not know, but I am a Ramesses. I got the blood of Ramesses right here from the Americas. He is the father of ancient America. So we're gonna get into this book too a little bit more for you as well. Even with chapter 2, it says ancient Egypt and Mexican presence in southeastern United States. So here you go. Southeastern United States, where I'm from, right? Okay, early in 1884. It's the last one I'm gonna give you today. As early as 1884, Williams Home pointed out that repossesses designs on a copper plate. See, I keep telling you about this copper complected people. You're gonna do copper. You're gonna be copper complected and have ways with dealing with copper shit. So anyway, copper plates found in Illinois, northern Georgia, were suggestive of Mexicans and Central American designs. He later pointed out that the presence of copper bells found in occasionally in southeastern states as having reached Florida from Mexico. In 1932, Zelia Nuttall showed some resemblance between the copper plates in Etowah and Mexico iconography, including figures wearing bird masks, and attributed to the migration from Mexico, insulting from the volcano disruptions, drought, grasshopper plagues, followed by famine. In 1943, Krager referenced the parallels between Mexico Codex figures and some of the shells grounded in Supero, East Oklahoma, and went to postulate migrations between Mesoamerica and the eastern United States on several different times, levels beginning possibly from the Christian era and continuing until nearly the same time of the conquest or later. In 1966, Gordon Wiley admitted Mesoamerican affiliation to the assemblage, including forked out weeping eyes and crossing with the sunburned circles, god animal representations, masked men, interpersonating animals, serpents, and eagles and cats. The question is whether mound building was introduced from Mexico, based between the debate in 1965. James Griffin wrote that there was nothing in Mesoamerica resembling the large earth coincidal mounds and multiple octagons in Poverty Point in northeast Louisiana in the period of 800 to 600 BC, and argued that the Mesoamericas were the only truncated pyramids as substructures and functionally also were different. However, agrees that the clay figurines in the same day, 800 to 600 BC, may have come from Mexico, although ear spools. He further maintained that Hopewell Clay's figurines from Ohio, Missouri, northeast Oklahoma have been knees stances similar to Levanta Olmec figures that dated 100 to 300 AD. Cities is too late for the Levanta, and even 200 BC to 400 AD, cities by Wiley and for Hope, cited by Wiley for Hopewell. Hopewell had panpipings, and these were found in the same time, 100 to 300 AD, 100 BC to 300 AD, on the Gulf of Mexico. Finger rings of copper were introduced in the early Adena phase. In 1978, James Marshall attempted to prove that the unit measured about 187 feet at Teotihuacan. At the same time, is the same time that the employed of Hopewell Earthworks and concluded that the small groups of American Indians geometers must have made the trip from Mexico to Ohio as early as 400 BC. See the separation? How come they can't be the same people? Why they gotta do these different dances? But anyway, there's just a little bit more. That was a bonus for you right here. Check it out. Raymond's Third Father of Ancient America gives a hell of a lot of good, man, just evidence on top of evidence on top of evidence. I wish I could read it to you all, but I try to get to the points that you got to use your mind and go want to look for it for yourself. Anyway, that's the show today. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much. We love you, and we will be back for more. So just want y'all to take those tidbits, run with them. We appreciate you. Thank you for tuning into the Wheel This Podcast. And guess what? You know this is my favorite part of the show. The wheel is yours. Be cool. Be easy. Stay peaceful, my peoples. Keep learning something. Try to learn something every day. I'll holler at y'all. Peace.